You signed up for a free trial. 1 month you only wanted to watch one show and you promised yourself, Sunday, I'll cancel it on Sunday. It's July now. The charge is still sitting there, quiet. Every month, $13.99, like rent for a room you never walk into. You're not lazy, you're not disorganized, you were routed. Because the trial you took wasn't a gift and it wasn't an accident. It was the opening move in a game that was designed, tested, and optimized so that you specifically would forget. Today we take the whole machine apart. Start with a number that shouldn't be possible. Ask an American what they spend on subscriptions each month, and the average guess lands around $86. Then pull the actual bank statement. The real figure is $219. That's from C+R research, and the gap it exposed is staggering. People underestimate their own subscription spending by more than $130 every single month. Sit with that for a second. These aren't strangers guessing about strangers. They're guessing about themselves, their own money, their own accounts, and they're off by nearly triple, and the pile keeps growing. The average American household now juggles roughly a dozen paid subscriptions at once. Streaming, music, cloud storage, apps, boxes of things that show up on a schedule nobody really chose. 12 small doors. Behind a few of them, money leaves without a sound. The same study found something quieter and worse. 42% of people were still paying for a subscription they had completely forgotten existed. Not one they regretted keeping, one they didn't remember signing up for at all. So how does a company make you forget? The uncomfortable answer, it doesn't. It just makes forgetting the easy path and remembering the hard one. Look at the asymmetry, because the whole trap lives in the gap between how you get in and how you get out. To start the trial, you tap one button, your card is already on file. Confirmation is instant, cheerful, done. To leave? You go hunting. The menu isn't where you'd expect it. The setting sits 3 screens deep. The phone line is open Tuesday to Thursday. The chat agent needs to know why you're going and offers you a discount and asks one more time. Joining is one motion. Leaving is a project. Every step is a small tax on your willpower, and they aren't evenly spaced by accident. They're placed exactly where tired people quit. And notice what they ask for before you get anything free: your card. A genuinely free trial wouldn't need it. You'd try the thing, and if you liked it, you'd pay. The card up front flips the default. Now the money moves automatically unless you act. Silence becomes consent, and notice the tell that should stop you cold. These companies can email you the instant your show drops, the second a package ships, the moment you leave one item sitting in a cart. They have your attention down to a science, yet somehow the one email they can't seem to send is the one that says your trial ends tomorrow and you'll be charged. They're not incapable of reminding you. They ran the math, and the reminder loses the money. This move has a name. Designers call it a roach motel, easy to check in, impossible to check out. The broader term, dark pattern, was coined back in 2010 by a UX researcher named Harry Brignall, who got tired of watching interfaces trick people on purpose, and this isn't some fringe complaint. In 2018, the Norwegian Consumer Council published a report called Deceived by Design, laying out how the biggest tech companies on Earth use default settings and buried buttons to steer you away from the choice you'd actually make. The trap is old. The gym version predates the internet by decades. Try cancelling certain gym memberships and you'll find you can't do it online, and you can't do it by phone. You have to mail a physical letter, and sometimes certified, to an address they make you dig for. Same logic, fresh paint. Now the detail almost nobody knows about. Yeah, the one that turns a hunch into a confession. In 2023, the Federal Trade Commission sued Amazon over how it handled Prime cancellations. Buried in that filing was a leaked internal code name. Amazon's own engineers had a name for the cancellation flow. They called it Iliad, as in Homer's Iliad, the ancient epic about a war that grinds on for 10 brutal, exhausting years. According to the FTC's complaint, they allegedly named the exit after a story famous for being long and painful. The FTC described that flow as 4 pages, 6 clicks, and 15 separate options. A gauntlet you had to survive just to stop being charged. Homer's readers spent years lost in that war. The complaint argues Amazon wanted you to feel a small version of it before you could stop paying $14 a month. When your own team nicknames the cancel button after a decade-long war, the intent stops being a mystery. If somebody sat in a meeting, said the word Iliad out loud, and nobody in the room flinched. And it isn't only Amazon. In 2024, the FTC went after Adobe. The complaint said Adobe funneled customers toward an annual paid monthly plan, pre-selected the comfortable default, while tucking the consequence out of sight. Try to cancel early and you'd owe an early termination fee that could run into the hundreds, disclosed in fine print. Most people never scroll far enough to reach. The trial gets you in. The default keeps you there. The fee punishes you for leaving. Each layer adds friction at the exact point where a human being is most likely to shrug and give up. And this should genuinely make you angry because none of it is a bug. Somewhere it was sketched on a whiteboard, and you can picture the kind of A/B test that might settle these things. 2 versions go out, and the one that ships would often be the one where fewer people manage to escape. There's an even sneakier layer, and you've probably walked right through it. The save flow, you finally find the cancel button, you tap it, and instead of cancelling, you're handed a maze. Are you sure? Here's 50% off. Here's a free month. Can you tell us why you're leaving? Pick one of these 9 reasons. Each screen looks like help. Each screen is a checkpoint, and every checkpoint sheds a few more people who decide it just isn't worth the fight tonight. And the industry even measures it. They call the people they talk out of leaving saves, and they optimize that funnel as carefully as the one that got you in. You were a conversion on the way in, you're a save on the way out. Either way, you're a number on someone's dashboard, and that dashboard has, a target on it updated in real time. So why don't we see it coming? Because your own brain is running 2 settings against you. The first is present bias. Future, you is basically a stranger your brain can't quite bring itself to care about. Today the trial is free and the show is right there, so today wins in a landslide. Cancelling later, that's future use headache. The second lever is the endowment effect. The instant something feels like yours, giving it up registers as a loss, and losses hurt about twice as much as the same sized gain feels good. That's not poetry. It comes from the loss aversion research of Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, work that helped win a Nobel Prize. So by day 28, cancelling doesn't feel like dodging a charge. It feels like surrendering something you already own. They didn't just bury the button, they rewired the decision sitting underneath it. Now follow the money because the numbers explain the cruelty. In any subscription business, one metric rules everything else. Churn, the rate at which people cancel. Shave a single percentage point off your monthly churn, and you can add years to the average customer's lifetime value. So every company arrives at the same fork in the road. Build a product so good that people choose to stay, or make leaving so hard that they can't be bothered to go. One of those paths is expensive, slow, and uncertain. The other is a design tweak you can ship by Tuesday afternoon. When Amazon fought that FTC case, the stakes were never your $14. Prime carries more than 200 million members worldwide. If even a few % of them forget to cancel each year, the money adds up into a river of revenue flowing from your inattention straight into a shareholder's pocket. Multiply a small monthly fee by a giant half-distracted audience and the forgotten charge stops looking like a mistake. And it starts looking like a business plan. Strip away the mission statement, and for plenty of companies the forgotten charge is what actually keeps the lights on. To be fair, it doesn't have to work this way, and one example proves it. In 2020, Netflix did something almost nobody expected. It started emailing members who hadn't watched a single thing in a year, asking whether they wanted to keep the account, and it automatically cancelled the ones who never replied. Netflix voluntarily walked away from money that people would have kept paying purely by accident. Why on earth would a company do that? Because trust is a longer game than churn. They bet that a customer who never felt trapped is a customer who comes back. And it's the precise opposite of the Iliad. And the fact that it made headlines, that it was rare enough to count as news, tells you everything about the industry's default setting. So how do you see it permanently? Start with 3 habits. First, the moment you begin any free trial, cancel it right then and there. Almost every service still lets you use the access until the trial period ends, even after you've cancelled. You lose nothing and you disarm the trap on day 1. Second, set your own reminder, not for the end date, but for 2 days before it. That little gap is exactly where they live. Third, once a year, read your bank statement line by line and say out loud what each charge is actually for. If you can't name it, kill it. And then a fourth, quieter habit. Notice the friction itself. When leaving is engineered to be harder than joining, that difference is a message addressed directly to you. It's the company admitting right out in the open that it already ran the math on your forgetfulness and chose to build a business on it. The free trial was never really free. You paid in the one currency they were betting you'd forget you were even spending. Your attention. And attention, once you're watching for it, is the one thing they can't quietly bill you for.